ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाखया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So this is a very interesting verse where the four Kumaras, we saw that they're trying to enter Vaikuntha and then they are stopped by the two doorkeepers in Vaikuntha at the seventh door, at the seventh entrance. And these four Kumaras, it was described that did not deserve this treatment because they were viditatma tattvan, their positions were very high. They were not some ordinary personalities, they were self-realized souls. And this kind of disposition which these two doorkeepers were having, that was not very pleasing to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because the Lord is always very eager to receive such great personalities. And here it is said that when these four Kumaras were thus stopped, they became angry, their eyes turned red. And they became angry not because their sense gratifications were affected, they became angry because their desire to serve the Lord, to see the most beloved, the personality of Godhead, their service to the Lord, that was hampered. Tabhyam misatsu animisheshu nishidhyamanaha. Misatsu means while looking upon, animisheshu means the demigods. So when the divine people in the Vaikuntha Loka, they were looking upon, they were just glancing and they were seeing. At that time, Tabhyam, by these two doorkeepers, who were these personalities? Harehe Pratihara Pabhyam. They were assigned the duty of watching the door of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the two doorkeepers of Vaikuntha Loka. Harehe Pratihara Pabhyam. What did they do? Nishidhyamanaha. They did not allow the four Kumaras to enter. They forbade them. They were thus forbidden. And then Swarhattamahi api. In the previous verse also it was described as these were not ordinary personalities. Viditatma tattva. They were knower of the self, self-realized people. Here it is said, Su Arhattama. Among the fittest, they were one of the most fittest personality. Su Arhattama. Api. Even though they were far fitter than any other personality, they were forbidden. So then what happened? Thus they were forbidden. Uchuhu. Then from the next verse they will start speaking. Uchuhu. They started speaking. Suhrittama didrikshita bhanga. When they were stopped from going and meeting whom? The most beloved, the most well-wisher of all the living entities. Surhuttama, Didrikshita. So, why they became angry? Because Didrikshita, they were very eager to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prabhupada translates Didrikshita as eagerness to see. Bhange means when there were hindrances put for them to see the personality of Godhead. So they were not entering Vaikuntha for sense gratification. They were entering Vaikuntha to see their most beloved Supreme Personality of Godhead, because they were very anxious. They were very eager to see the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why we find they did not even pay attention to the decorations of different Vaikuntha gates, the opulences of different Vaikuntha, because they were very eager to meet the personality of God. So this was their qualification. So what happened then when they were thus forbidden from seeing their most beloved Supreme Personality of Godhead? Ishar slightly Kama Anujena. Anuja means younger brother, and Kama Anujena means younger brother of Kama. Kama is lust and younger brother is anger. So when lust is not satisfied, then anger also comes. The younger brother also accompanies whenever lust is there. Sahasa. So Sahasa means suddenly. So suddenly when there was interruption in their service, they wanted to eagerly see the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then they become slightly angry. And their angers, how it was visible? Upapluta akshaha. Upapluta means agitated. They became agitated and it was visible in their eyes, akshaha. Their eyes became red in anger. So, translation Prabhupada says, when the Kumaras, although by far the fittest persons, Swarhattama, although they were the fittest of the people, fittest persons, were thus forbidden entrance. Nishidhyamanaha, they were forbidden entrance by the two chief doorkeepers of Sri Hari, Harehe Pratihara Pabhyam. So they were thus forbidden, while other divinities looked on. Misatsu Animisheshu, when other divine personalities were just looking upon. Their eyes suddenly turned red because of anger. Upapluta akshaha. In anger, Kama Anujena. Because of anger. Why? Due to their great eagerness to see their most beloved master. Suhrattama Didrikshita Bhanga. When they were forbidden, they became angry like that. So, in the purport, Prabhupada has brought out some few very important points. One of the very important points which Prabhupada is bringing is the way the society was arranged in our Vedic society. The value system in our Vedic society, the way the society was arranged, the way it was being conducted, the way people used to behave. Prabhupada brings about a comparison between the modern society and what was Vedic society. So, in Vedic society, Prabhupada is saying here, very beautifully, Prabhupada says, the Vedic sociological conception. What was the conception in Vedic sociology? The Varnas were there, ashramas were there, divisions of the society was there. There were Brahmanas, there were Kshatriyas, there were Sannyasis, there were Grahasthas. the whole sociology was arranged, and the most important part of this division, this sociology, the Vedic conception was, everyone was working in their own capacity to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Just yesterday in the class we heard, anybody remembers that verse? Savai pumsam paro dharmo yator bhaktir adhokshaje. It is the duty of every human being to carry out transcendental service, paro dharmo yator bhaktir adhokshaje, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the central point of Vedic society was pleasure of the Supreme Lord. For that, sannyasi was also acting. For that, Brahmana was also acting in that capacity. Kshatriyas were also acting in that capacity. Even Shudras, they were assisting all others to please the Supreme Personality of God. So that was Vedic sociology. That is how the society was divided. Now here Prabhupada is bringing a point. In Vedic society, the Brahmanas and the sannyasis, they were given the topmost respect. They were given the topmost position. You see? So much so, the example is given here, just like we all know that if we have to go to any other place apart from India, suppose you have to go to America, you have to go to London, we all require a passport. But Prabhupada is saying here, Vedic society was arranged in such a way, no passport was required. Their dress was their passport. If a person is wearing saffron dress, that is the passport, he will be allowed anywhere. He will not be asked question, why are you entering this country? How many days are you going to stay here? When you will be back to your country? They will not be asked any of these questions. That was the passport. Now why that passport was given? They could go anywhere. You see? Prabhupada is even saying, not only they could go anywhere, they could go to even householder's house, demand something, and they would not be refused. Because actually they would not demand anything. Just like we see the example we were seeing the other day, that even, Shukdev Goswami would go to householder's house, especially when they were milking the cows. He would demand, give me milk. You see? So that was not for anything. That was to go and give the messages of the Lord. It was just an opportunity. They would be looking for an opportunity to give the messages. So why were they allowed everywhere? Because they had no other business. Sannyasis have no other business. Their only business is to preach the glories of the Lord. So they were allowed anywhere. Any country, anywhere, they were allowed to go and preach the glories of the Lord. So that is how the Vedic society was arranged. So Prabhupada is saying here, according to Vedic system, a sannyasi, person in the renounced order of life, is dressed in saffron colored garment. This saffron dress is practically a passport for the mendicant and sannyasis to go anywhere. Now why they were allowed? Then Prabhupada is saying, sannyasi's duty is to enlighten people in Krishna consciousness. What is the meaning of sannyas? Satnyas. For the absolute truth, he has given up all other engagements. What does it mean? His only one engagement is to preach Krishna consciousness. All other engagement he has given for Sat. That is the meaning of sannyas. So, these personalities, these four great sages, what was their business? Their only business was to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead, to preach the glories of the Supreme Lord. So actually they were not supposed to be forbidden like that. That is why it is said. He should have realized, these two doorkeepers should have understood that these four great sages, they have no other business. They are not coming to Vaikuntha Loka for sense gratification. They are coming to Vaikuntha Loka to see their great master, their beloved master, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, that is being described here. So, this is one point which Prabhupada brings about how the Vedic society was so nicely arranged. Another important point which Prabhupada talks about is the word Suhrittama, best of all friends. There are many Suhrit, there are many friends. Suhrit means friends. Suhrit Uttama, best of all friends. You see, just like we see in Bhagavad Gita, there are, this good, better, best, we say comparative language, we say. Or in Bhagavad Gita we find confidential knowledge, more confidential knowledge, most confidential knowledge. You see. So, just like Guhya Tamam, out of all confidential knowledge, the most confidential knowledge. So, it is said here about the Lord, whom they wanted to see, Suhrittama. They wanted to see the best well-wisher of all living entities. The best of all friend, Prabhupada is saying, is very important. Now, why Krishna is called the best of all friends? This is very interesting. Suppose somebody is very dear to us. We find in the material world, generally, somebody is dear to us, but when circumstances change, then that dear becomes inimical to us. He becomes most inimical sometimes. We find in the material world, sometimes the best of the friend becomes greatest of the enemies. Best of the friend, they become greatest of the enemies. When circumstances change, sometimes we find, the children, they renounce their parents, they give up their parents. No more he is useful. Old man, not of any worth now. Till he was having money, till he was having power, the children take care and later on they reject. We find all those kind of things, isn't it? Or let us say somebody is very good to us today and, we are his well-wisher, we take care of him. We go and preach to him, we try to bring him to sanity, isn't it? And he doesn't even bother about us. He doesn't listen to us. Rather, he becomes inimical. Let us say you go and try to help him, and then he comes, you want to help me? And then he kicks on your face, let us say. What will you do? He'll say, get lost. I tried so much for you, isn't it? And then we also give up. Okay, if you are not interested, why I should be interested in your welfare? Get lost. This is our behavior. But just imagine Prabhupada is explaining what is the meaning of Suhrittama. Life after life after life, we have rejected the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I don't care about you. I am God myself. I am enjoyer. I have taken up your position. Isn't it? Actually, it is position of God. It is not our position. Our position is to be servant. Bhoktaram yagna tapasam sarvaloko maheshwaram. He is the Maheshwar. He is the enjoyer. He is the best friend. Now we have taken that position. I am the best friend of others. I will do charity. I will help others. Isn't it? I am the enjoyer. I am the proprietor. We have taken up this position, rejected Lord life after life. In spite of all these things, imagine if God is still behind us, please come back to Godhead. Prabhupada says, he is called Suhrittama. How many measures he is trying? Prabhupada is giving the example in purport today. 3 measures. Anyone remembers? 3 different ways Krishna is trying to get us back to Godhead. Very good. He personally comes, sends his devotee. The Lord himself personally comes as a devotee to teach us how to practice devotional service to the Lord and go back to Godhead. And then he sends his pure devotees. You see? So, Prabhupada is saying here, no one can be a greater well-wishing friend to any living entity than the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is so kindly disposed towards everyone. He is so kindly disposed to everyone that in spite of our completely forgetting our relationship with the Supreme Lord, he comes himself, sometimes personally, sometimes as his devotee, and sometimes he sends his bona fide devotees to reclaim all the fallen souls. Therefore, he is the greatest well-wishing friend of everyone, and Kumaras wanted to see him. See, this is the position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a great personality the Kumaras wanted to see. It is not an ordinary thing. In Bhagavatam, there is a very nice prayer by Gajendra when he is under attack by crocodile, and for years together he was caught up by that crocodile, and then he fervently prays to the Lord. It's a very beautiful prayer he offers to the Lord. There Prabhupada explains some of the very beautiful qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Suhruttama, the best well-wisher of all living entities. So Gajendra prays, Madrak prapanna pashupasha vimokshanaya muktaya bhuri karunaya namo layaya swamshena sarvatanu brahmanasi pratita pratyagdrishe bhagavate brahate namaste. So, first Prabhupada explains about this word brahate namaste. He is offering his obeisances among all Ishwaras to Brahat Ishwara. Just like we say Brahat Mridanga. Correct? We say book distribution is Brahat Mridanga. Brahat means greater, wider, biggest Mridanga. Isn't it? We say Mridanga voice can be heard only within the room. But book distribution is called Brahat Mridanga because it can reach everywhere. So like that, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur very beautifully explains what is the meaning of Brahat. Brahat means, he explains, that Lord Vishnu, he is omnipresent, he is present everywhere. The Lord expands, first of all, in the form of Mahavishnu, to come to the material world, to take care of this material world. And then Mahavishnu further expands as Garbhodakshai Vishnu and enters into every universe. And then further, Garbhodakshai Vishnu further expands and enters into every single atom, enters into every living entity as Paramatma or Kshirodakshai Vishnu. So this is the feature of the Lord. He is present everywhere. But the master of all of them is Krishna. Master of all of them is Krishna. So he is addressing to the Supreme Lord Krishna that you are the master of even Garbhodakshai Vishnu, you are the master of Paramatma, you are the master of even Kshirodakshai or Garbhodakshai Vishnu or Karanodakshai Vishnu. That's why he's called Brahat Namaste. He is praying to the Supreme Lord Krishna. So, he is saying, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, this word refers to Lord Krishna. And then Prabhupada explains very beautifully further. Not only that, Krishna is the Adi, beginning of the Devas in the material world, Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara. Therefore, he is described here as Bhagavate Brahate. Everyone is Bhagwan. Everyone possesses opulence. But Krishna is Brahat Bhagwan. He is Brahat Bhagwan. He is not ordinary Bhagwan. We also can be called as Bhagwan in that sense. Any great personality can be called as Bhagwan. Sometimes Lord Shiva is called Bhagwan. Sometimes even Brahma is called, addressed as Bhagwan. But Krishna is called Brahat Bhagwan. He is the Bhagwan of all Bhagwans. Ishvaraha Parama Krishna. You see, that is the meaning. So all superlative terms are used actually for Krishna. Like that. The possessor of unlimited opulence, Ishvaraha Parama Krishna. Aham Sarvasya Prabhavaha. Even Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara comes from Krishna. Mattaha Sarvam Pravartate. Mattaha Paratram Nanyat. There is nothing superior to Krishna. So, that is how he is called Brahate Namaste. And then, what is he saying? What is Gajendra saying? He is saying, Madrak Prapanna, like me. Madrak means like me. Like me what? Pashu. I am actually an animal. And I have surrendered unto you. Prapanna means surrendered unto you. Madrak Prapanna, Pashu, Pasha Vimokshanaya. You are always very, very attentive in delivering from Pasha. Pasha means entanglement. Vimoksha. Vimoksha means to disentangle or to liberate. So Prabhupada explains, this is not just the prayer of Gajendra. Our position is also like Gajendra. Not only he is a Pashu, all of us are Pashu. Why all of us are Pashu? Because we are also entangled, like Gajendra was entangled in that misery. We are also entangled. So Prabhupada explains how we are all Pashu. Anyone who is thinking this body to be everything, he is a Pashu. Then Prabhupada quotes that verse. Yasyatma buddhi kunape tridhatuke swadhi kalatradishu bhome ijjadi yat tirtha buddhi salile na karhichit janeshu abhigneshu saeva gokhara. So Bhagavatam is saying anyone who is thinking this body to be everything, he is actually Pashu. So we are all Pashu in that sense. So Prabhupada is saying this prayer is for everyone. Everybody's position is like Gajendra. It is not that only he was entangled. We are all entangled. We are all entangled by the crocodile of Maya. Maya is compared like that crocodile. You see. So what is he saying? He is saying, very beautifully he offers his prayer. Every verse in Bhagavatam is filled with meaning. Muktaya. So Prabhupada explains, only the personality who is mukta, only he can liberate. Person who is entangled cannot liberate. There is no use of praying to a person who is entangled that actually he can liberate us from these miserable conditions of life. That is not possible. It is only the Supreme Lord who is always liberated. Our position is not always liberated. Sometimes we are liberated, sometimes we are conditioned. The Supreme Lord is always liberated. And Bhuri Karunaya, the most magnanimous, merciful personality, Namo Layaya. Layaya, Prabhupada explains, the Lord is very attentive. Layaya means one who is not lazy, one who is very, very attentive. Attentive for what? Attentive for liberating all living entities. Swamshena sarvatanubhrat manasi. As your partial expansion, you are present in every living entity's heart to do the best welfare for the living entity. Swa amshena, your own amsha, sarvatanu, in every living entity, sarvatanu bhrat manasi, the Lord is present in everybody's heart. You see? And then, pratyak drashe bhagavate brahate namaste. And the Supreme Lord is knowledge personified. So Prabhupada beautifully translate, since an animal such as me has surrendered unto you who are supremely liberated, certainly you will release me from this dangerous position. Indeed, being extremely merciful, you incessantly try to deliver me. Incessantly means continuously, actually, the Lord is trying to deliver us. Just imagine, what is the meaning of Suhrit? Prabhupada explains elsewhere. One who is constantly thinking about your friend. That is actually called Suhrit. We may think about our near and dear ones sometimes, and then we get into our own business. Can you imagine a person? 24 hours. He is constantly thinking about your welfare. He is called Suhrit. Suhrit Tama. So, indeed being extremely merciful, you incessantly try to deliver me. So, Prabhupada beautifully explains this in purport. Prabhupada says, only Krishna can deliver us from this material existence. That is, he is completely liberated. He is always trying to deliver us. Ishvaraha sarva bhutanam hriddeshu arjuna tishtati. He is within our heart. And what is the Lord doing? We may be thinking, okay, the Lord is sitting in the heart. Very passively the Lord is sitting in the heart. Actually, the Lord is very attentive. We are not realizing this. The Lord is very attentive. He senses our desire. The moment even a fragmental desire we have to understand about the truth, immediately the Lord provides guidance to us. You see? So Prabhupada is explaining. He is within our heart and he is not at all inattentive. His only aim is to deliver us from material life. Then one may think, no, only when I am praying, only then the Lord is attentive. Prabhupada is saying, no, incessantly the Lord is attentive. It is not that he becomes attentive to us only when we offer our prayers to him. Even before we offer our prayers, he incessantly tries to deliver us. He is never lazy in regard to our deliverance. Therefore, it says, Lalaya. See? And then Prabhupada explains about what is the meaning of Bhuri Karunaya. You see, this is, the Lord is always very attentive. He is not lazy. Even before our offering prayer, the Lord is still attentive. He is still trying to deliver us from this world. And then Prabhupada explains the beauty of Bhuri Karunaya. Most magnanimous, most merciful. What does it mean? Prabhupada is saying, it is the causeless mercy of Supreme Lord that he always tries to bring us home back to Godhead. God is liberated, he tries to make us liberated. Although he is constantly trying, we refuse to accept his instructions. The Lord is actually constantly trying. We refuse to accept his instructions. Nonetheless, he has not become angry. You see? As I was saying, sometimes you try to give some good counsel to somebody, and when he is not listening, when you find he has become indifferent, we also leave him. Get lost. Who is bothered? I tried so much. And imagine the tolerance of the Lord. Life after life we have been rejecting His counsel and the Lord is still not angry. He is still not angry. Therefore He is described as Bhuri Karunaya, unlimitedly merciful in delivering us from this miserable material condition of life and taking us back to Godhead. Many more points were there, but I think it is already time. We'll discuss some other class. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Yes, one question. They were actually more than sannyasis. Sannyasa is actually not just by the dress. Dress is given basically so that people can identify easily. Just like, suppose if a policeman comes in plain dress like us, it is very difficult. Suppose if you want a help, somebody is looting you, then you can very easily identify from the dress. When you see khaki dress, then immediately you can call for the help. That is why the dress is required. Otherwise, actually, dress is not important. It is for that purpose. I am not very sure what dress they were wearing exactly like that, but definitely they were more than the sannyasis. Anyone who is, they were brahmacharis, but I don't know whether they exactly took sannyas in that sense, that sannyas order of life, whether they took and they were wearing saffron dress. I am not very sure about that. I can try to find out and tell you. Actually they were, here it is said they were not wearing any clothes at all in that sense. Yeah. They were of that order of life. Yeah, he would have questioned because he was only seeing externals. You see, the devotees of the Lord, we don't have to just go by the externals. We should be expert in understanding, not just from external. Just like if we get swayed away by some person who is having big beards, all those things, and we get swayed by that. So we go by external of a person. So somebody may be in a plain cloth, just like we see the example in Bhagavatam. There are examples of Ramananda Raya. He was from a family of a Shudra, and he was in a plain cloth. He was a Grahastha, but he was more than a sannyasi. So externally looking, one may reject such a personality, isn't it? So it should not be from external. Just like today is also in the conversation Prabhupada was talking about, Prabhupada is saying, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected all these externals. Naham vipro, na chanarpati, napi vaishyo, na shudraha. So he is saying, I am not sannyasi, I am not brahmana, I am not shudra. Then who are you? Our real position is Gopir Bhartur Pad Kamalyor Dasa Dasanu Dasaha. We are the servant of, maintainer of Gopi. We are servant of Lord Krishna. That is the idea. So in that sense, devotees should be expert in identifying that actually these sages, they have come for not sense gratification. They are self-realized personality. They have come very eagerly to serve the Lord, eagerly to see the Lord. So that they should have sensed. That is why they were befitting that they should be penalized, they should be punished for that.